Alright, here we are once again talking about Four Nights of the Apocalypse. This time it is chapter 172, Nasiens versus Rothes. Now for the cover image we have Anne, completely fine, healthy before she got hold the way she did last chapter. And we start off with someone having a conversation, and from the context we obviously understand that it is Gawain who is using a magic conch shell to communicate with her grandparents, with her grandpa encouraging her that she's got this whole tournament in the bag, and going to ask for a hug, and they literally just say hug, and she hugs the conch shell. This is so adorable, and even asks for grandma to do it as well. And then the match ends announcing Diodora the winner, confusing Gawain and making her see what's going on since she knew Anne was the one who was supposed to fight, and is completely shocked to see the state that Anne is in. Percival holding her and consistently healing her as well. And while he is, if you don't notice, she still is gripping onto her sword, even despite being unconscious, still holding on to the new rapier. She was really ready to squabble. If it was a clean 1v1 to the end, she would have. Oh man, no man, what could have been? Percival goes on to explain that she was done the dirtiest way and that she just needs to rest, and continues to walk towards basically her chambers, with Terra and Diodora walking by, with Terra sort of snarkily remarking that this is the natural result of the weak daring to tackle the strong, and that there's no reason to be all emotional about it. Which, first of all, Decepticon mentality and low-key Decepticon tactics. I don't rock with you though. Like, let's talk about this for a second. If we're really using this logic, then it should have been Diodora the one to lose rather than Anne. So if he didn't interfere, nothing would have happened. And Gawain is just like, you think I want to let this slide? And Terra is just like, did I say anything hurtful at all? And just continues to walk with Diodora, leaving Gawain there, giving her a reason to spin back expeditiously for Anne. And at their chambers, Diodora goes on a tantrum saying that Terra shouldn't have interfered, and that he should have put the Purgatory Beast to attack her, which was the invisible creature in the arena. The fact that they somehow have that Terra has access to a Purgatory creature is odd, to say the least. And Terra goes on to state that make the counter argument that Diodora was the one who wanted to win no matter what. So, and that is for the sake of Ironside, and calls Diodora good for nothing brat, and goes on to state that Ironside taught that if you face an enemy, you must snap off their fangs and crush their soul, leaving Diodora just silent. Terra goes on to say that Rose is fighting now. He'll finish his squabble, so just rest up for now. And in the meantime, match 4 has started, with Nasiens and Rothes facing off against each other. Rothes bringing out his rapier, Nasiens bringing out their sword and needle, along with the twin pole gloves, and they get to squabbling. Nasiens blocks and sort of is like, you and your partner did something last match, didn't you? And then they go on to engage in swordplay, where Rose saying, you don't really have any proof of that though, do you? And Nasiens argues that you saying that is probably the most damning proof. And Rose goes on to say, what are you going to do about it then? And Nasiens is like, spin back obviously, uses venom mixing, misty rain, and snow corral. Rose is confused, like, this is an attack, like it doesn't even tickle. With Nasiens explaining that this ability comes from a plant growing in a cold fairy realm cavern, and that inhaling it will slowly paralyze you from the limbs up. And that the most interesting thing about the pollen is that it reacts to normal temperatures, but obviously is curious if it would have a different reaction in a hot environment. And since fire is taboo in the fairy realm, so they didn't get a chance to test it. Using Rose as a guinea pig, uses the twin pole gloves in heat mode, and leaving Rose kind of confused at why they just monologue like that, and instantly is set ablaze, like literally, like all that poison that pollen that spread out instantly ignites into a sea of flames, consuming Rose, which even surprises Nasiens at the level of reaction that the pollen had to even a little bit of fire. And Capadonic is like, oh yeah, let's wrap this up. The entire arena is searing in flames. Yeah, he's cooked. There's no way he's surviving. And then Rose just is like, I ain't hear no bell. jumps out in flames and attacks Nasiens, who barely blocks it, drop kicks them in the face, leaving everyone stunned at the fact that Rothes really took no damage from the fire, as all that there is just dirt from the soot, confusing Nasiens, with Rothes explaining that there's a poison that can make you Nasiens, see visions, paralysis, memory loss, lethargy, breathing difficulty, corrosion, multiple organ failure, and even death. Nasiens has no idea of a kind of plant like poison like that, and knows that there's no such that you wouldn't be able to find such a thing in Britannia, the Fairy Realm, and likely not the Demon Realm either. Rose explaining that it does exist, just not in a regular world you'd be familiar with, and goes on to explain that it lies in Purgatory, a place which people call the Great Corridor that links the mortal realm to the afterlife. A world of searing heat and frigid cold, of poisonous air, and a horde of fearsome monsters, leaving Nasiens stunned. And let's look at this artwork real quick. Let's really dissect this. It low-key is sort of, you can sort of see the way it's being described through this drawing. The way it's curling in itself, kind of like fire, but also looking like poisonous air. And we see rigid parts of ice here, and obviously the drawing is laid with different like monsters and plants all over, at the center of which being Hulk. That's obviously Hulk. I don't care to hear otherwise. That is Hulk. And as we know, Purgatory was Meliodas and Bond's greatest hideaway, where they got some of the greatest power-ups in the series, especially Bond. Buddy went from being like basically the weakest sin to like the second strongest sin. Yes, I'm putting him above Escanor. Argue with your mums. And then Rose starts pulling out these gang signs, creating a mini Garganta, and explains that the magic rift that he's just made leads to Purgatory. It's a spell called Gatekeeper, and explains that he has a resistance to the heat, cold, and poison that streams out from it. And then Rose goes on to gloat that, yeah, you're cooked, bro. You don't have a single weapon that would work against me. And that's where the chapter ends. Now, obviously, there's quite a few things to dissect. First, the first section, Gawain really does love her grandparents a lot, and just that little cute moment of them showing affection to each other. They are such supporting grandparents. It's lovely, and obviously, Turret's comments makes it that she's probably gonna do her best to spin back for Anne when it comes time for her to fight Turret. Now, Turret's conversation with Diodora confirms a couple things: that the invisible creature that he used to end the preliminaries and to hoe Anne was basically a Purgatory beast that for some reason was invisible, and that Turret, Rose, and Diodora were all taught by Ironside the same sort of philosophy when it comes to fighting. And it seems Turret does have some disdain towards Diodora. The way he called him a brat right there is... that shit made me chuckle. If anything, I have a fear that Turret could possibly be working with Arthur as well. Is more loyal to Arthur's existence than to Ironside. But again, we don't know his backstory with Ironside, so it's too soon to say. Now, Rose, I can't lie, I owe you an apology. I was not familiar with your game at all. I don't know why me and so many others in the community were under the impression that, oh yeah, they're just Ironside's sidemen, his little underlings, yeah, they're gonna be no problem. Like I don't know why we thought that these guys were gonna be light work, no reaction for the gang, when Ironside himself, low-key, even before he was forced to throat chaos, we haven't seen the full effects of the power-up from that yet, but we've seen that even before that, Ironside is an actual unit. Like nothing compared to Gawain and Lancelot and Tristan in part 1, sure, but he was trusted enough to become one of Arthur's 4 evils. So I don't know why we got let me not speak on others, why I misinterpreted that the people he trained possibly would be cannon fodder when they really aren't. Like, these guys have Purgatory beasts, a plant that will give you the Bond constitution, basically no resistance to heat, cold, and poison. Probably not the same amount of durability though, because Bond was going through it in Purgatory to gain that level of durability for his body to fully adapt straight Maharaga. Yeah, so it doesn't seem Rose has that level of durability. Otherwise, I don't think he'd just follow Ironside around, and I think it would be him more higher up in Arthur's rankings than Ironside. So there are probably some things with the plan that he mentioned, the poison that he mentioned. Is it a case of they can actually travel to purgatory? It's hard to say because we know a second, or is it either a second or a minute in the mortal realm is like 100 to 1,000 years in purgatory. I can't remember fully. No, or is it a minute is a year there? Now, Rose summon using opening a Garganta. Since he mentioned like the fact how harsh the environment is, he might just be opening a portal to it to just let some of it hit Nasiens. In which case, Nasiens may just be cooked because Nasiens isn't that much of a physical fighter to the point where they can just overwhelm Rothes with swordsmanship. As we've seen, this might just be another mismatch, to be honest. But I'm a keep my faith in Nasiens. Nasiens is literally the reason I started making these videos because I was so shocked where I was like, yeah, no, I gotta talk about this now. So Nasiens might just pull out that kind of performance once more, whether they use the piece of the spirit to do so or decide to make a poison that has nothing to do with heat or cold and maybe just either affects the nerves themselves or actually eats at magic power. If not here, then I feel like those are kind of poisons Nasiens will end up developing if not already. Yeah, Rothes put in a nice performance, I won't lie. The little neck crack he did at this panel here reminds me of Bond and Lancelot, but I don't really have much else to say. I don't have any other thoughts or theories in particular to speak about. Rothes, again, I'll give you your dukes. But I can't lie, this nigga's a shit talker. I do want Nasiens to win this, but I can also see them not winning as well. Cause I feel like they might make Rothes win for the sole fact that I don't believe Turret is winning. If Turret wins his match with Gawain, Lord above. At least Diodora is going through, so I don't think Nakuba has any plans to make Turret or Rothes win. If Rothes wins this, then I won't be too surprised. But I feel like Nasiens went back into a corner. Nasiens can pull out an A-grade performance, straight Wilt Chamberlain numbers, straight 100-point game with no recorded footage, and we have footage of people landing on the goddamn moon, bro. But yeah, like I said, that's all I have. Now that is all I have to say. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week for chapter 173. Unless there's a break, then I'll see you the week after. I mean, I'll probably still, even if there is a break, I'll probably still see you guys next week for a different kind of video. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Take care. Till next time.